Hey guys, how's it going? Previously on the channel, I made a video talking about the 300 series and basically differences between them, what they are, when they introduced them, and just different types of things about them and stuff like that. I thought I'd make a video today. I made a video a couple weeks ago talking about what to look for when buying a 140, such as, just kind of things here and there to look at and just say, well, does it do this? Does it do that? Blah, blah, blah. I thought, I really haven't made a whole lot of videos on the 300 series, and these two haven't really been on the channel all that much lately. So I thought, why not give them a spotlight, and we'll make a video today, and maybe somebody will learn something from it. Doesn't seem very common, somebody learns something from my videos, but you never know. Basically, a little bit of a rundown. If you don't know what the 300 series is, or you didn't see my last video, they introduced the 300 series in 1975 when they discontinued the 100 series and introduced the 200 series as well as the 300 series. The 300 series the closed frame 300 series went from 1975 to 1980. I think they discontinued the 317 in 1983, 1982, 1983, somewhere around there. It may have been 1986. It was one of those years. Basically, things to look for when you're buying one. I'm just going to start with going over, stuff you can see on them. Take a good look at the wiring on the tractor, just get a good look at it, see how the wiring looks, make sure it's not all taped together. Look up under there and see how the wiring looks, and make sure everything looks good on it. After you take a look at it, make sure everything's good. Move your pedals, make sure your pedals are good. Oh, and also you want to check your brakes. Make sure the brakes are good and tight, and they have a lot of resistance behind them when you go to push on them. And you can tell when the brake is active, and if the brake on them works, that's good. One less thing to have to adjust. Check your linkage, make sure your linkage works good and that it moves back and forth like it should. Swing around over here and check your hydraulic lift lever. Make sure it doesn't have a whole bunch of play in it. Play is, you can see it's got a little bit of it, not really a whole lot. Play is how much does it move before it engages and disengages in the valve, as you can see. Check your throttle, see how your throttle moves, see if it moves good. Check your PTO switch, check your choke, make sure your choke moves good. Right here, this is your hydrostat disengage. Turn it in, and then turn it back, or make sure it turns and it's not stuck. Usually if they are stuck, I would kind of stay away from them. I would stay away from messing with it if it's stuck, because maybe the valves on the transmission are stuck, and therefore if you tighten that and those close or those open, they won't close, and you got to fight with them to get them to work again. So I would I'd stay away from them, or if you do that and it ends up not wanting to drive, don't buy it. This here is for the height of a mower deck. I don't think that is for the height of a rear attachment, such as a sleeve hitch plow or a tiller. I might be wrong on that one. I probably am. Check your steering. Make sure it steers good. And if it steers good, nice, that's good. Check the tractor. Most of the time, people don't leave the tractor sitting where it always sat. When you come to buy it, they usually move it around, and they try to cover up where leaks have been from the tractor. I normally would leave the tractor sitting where it is when someone comes to buy it and say, this is where it sits. As you can see, there's a little bit of oil there, and it does leak a little bit, but not a whole lot. Right here is actually where the 312 sits. There actually used to be another tractor that sat here. That puddle right there is from the 312. As you can see, there's not really a whole lot there. Let's see, check the air filter, make sure the air filter looks good. Check the oil on it. Make sure the oil looks good and it's clean and it's full, and then it's not gonna, start to have fits when you go to start it. Move the key switch some, make sure that it turns good and moves good. Another thing to check when you're looking at them is turn the key, and watch your amp meter. See if your amp meter moves. If your amp meter doesn't move, either your amp meter is disconnected or something might be wrong with it. Turn your thing on. Oh, check your headlight switch. Make sure your headlight switch works good. Turn your headlights on and check them. Make sure the headlights work. Sometimes only 2 work, sometimes 1 works. It really doesn't matter. You really don't need the third one. Check your taillights if you have them, and make sure your taillights work. Flip your PTO switch. That is PTO, as you can see. Just kind of give it a rundown, look at it, make sure that things look good. Check your tire pressure, make sure your tires hold air in there. Make sure your tires hold air. Look at the tires real good, make sure they're not cracked. Come back here to your rear and look at that. Make sure there's no oil in that rim. Sometimes these rear axle seals go bad and oil will leak into the rim and you'll have an oily mess. Sometimes they do it on this side, other times they do it on this side. As you guys can see, this tractor has been staying pretty clean. Come over here and look at this side, and I don't see it over there neither. I should have turned the light on my phone. Didn't even think about that. Like I said, if you have H2, move the levers and make sure that they don't move with each other. I have seen that before, where these 2 levers will move together and you have to fight with them in order to get them to separate. Other things, like I said, check, make sure it doesn't leak. And if it leaks, ask about it. Well, how often or how much has it leaked in the time it sat there? How often do you have to check it and it's out of oil? Or how often, do you check it and notice that the level of oil or transmission oil has changed? Check the motor oil, like I said. Pop the hood on it if it has side panels. Look underneath there. Something moved. I may not have seen anything. It may have just been me. Look under there, like I said, look for bare wires. Check your battery. Look at the battery. If it's coming with a battery, take a good, not very common, but take a good look at the battery and try to find out a date on it. As you can see, 22. Usually a battery tends to only last, I want to say, I've had them last as long as 7 years. I want to say a battery will probably last, I'm just going to go 5 years. 5 years is probably max. And if you have a battery older than 5 years, you might want to consider replacing it. Unless whoever owns the tractor is thinking about keeping it, then, well, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Check your air filter, make sure if you can't get to the air filter on it, like how you can't on here, ask whoever you're buying it from, when was the last time you checked the oil or last time you checked the air filter and made sure the air filter looked good. And if they can't answer, say, well, do you have any tools at all that I can use to take this side panel off? Some people will be nice enough to let you, other people won't, and they'll complain. Don't be afraid to walk away if you're looking at something and whoever you're buying it off of seems kind of sketchy or doesn't want to cooperate with you. Don't be afraid to walk away and just give up on the deal and say you're not interested. Other things, like I said, check your tires. Let's see, is there anything else on here I want to look at before I give it? well, I guess I should, pop your oil out, check your oil, make sure it's got oil in it, you know. Same with over here. Sometimes the oil dipsticks are in different places, just sometimes they're held down. If you see one that is held down by a bungee strap, make sure you ask about it. Sometimes the little rubber O-rings on there are bad. I do not think this is the original dipstick to this tractor to begin with, but sometimes the little rubber O-rings are bad, and that is why they tend to pop out of the engine when the engine is started. Other times it's because it has blow-by and it just blows it out even with a good seal. This one has it on there because the seal's bad and I really don't want to have oil blown around everywhere and I don't want to lose my dipstick. Check it over, just give it a look down, make sure you don't see the tractor is rusted through. When I say rusted through, I mean the frame. Usually if the seat pan has a little bit of rust through on it, a seat pan is necessarily not hard to find and replace, you just don't want to do it. Like I said though, don't be afraid to walk away. Seat really doesn't matter, depending how the seat looks. If you want a perfect seat, just, swap the seat out later on after you get it. So yeah, like I said, I guess I should, might as well pop the air filter off and show it to you guys. But, look around on it and see if you can see anywhere the tractor's wet. Feel around the transmission, feel around the engine, feel around everywhere, and just see if it's wet. Right there's a tetanus shot waiting to happen. But as you can see, that's the air filter. I pulled this tractor out of a parts yard a little over a year ago. I have not put an air filter on it yet, so that's why it looks the way it does. Then you take it, put the air filter, man, doing this one-handed. Put the air filter, back on, and after you do that, finally, look around it, look at the spark plug wire, make sure the spark plug wire is not melted through. And after you do all that, finally, the thing y'all been waiting for is you turn the key and you start the engine and you see how the engine sounds and if it knocks and how it runs. Ready? So right there is a prime example. That is creep. Some of these older tractors, especially the Hydrostat 300 series, tend to creep. As you guys can see, usually to combat creep is you move the lever forward like that, so that way it doesn't creep and it'll stay where it needs to be. However, sometimes the lever will adjust itself. But start it up and see if it has creep. I would recommend sitting on the tractor when you go to start it up, and after you get it to start up and run, pull on the throttle slowly and listen to the engine, see how the engine runs. And when it gets up here, see how smooth it runs, if it misses any. Watch the engine for smoke, make sure the motor doesn't smoke. Black smoke means it is getting too much fuel. White smoke means that it is burning oil. White smoke or blue smoke means that you're burning oil and or your engine's tired or wore out. So yeah, and we'll come over here and I'll do the same thing to this one since I'm filming with both of them. I might as well start this one up. Come on. There it goes. I know somebody's going to say it has a knock. That is actually the PTO. But there's an example of something to listen for. That is actually the PTO knocking. It has done that ever since I put the PTO on. I don't know why. That is also the muffler. The muffler kind of moves back and forth. If you hear a tick in the engine though, usually a tick would signify the valves. Sometimes the valves tick. That's not really a bad thing if you hear a tick, depending how loud it is. If it's really loud and the engine's not running very good, maybe your valves need to be adjusted, or something inside the motor is catastrophically wrong. Let's see if there's anything I can think of. Normally, some people don't keep it, but ask whoever you're buying the tractor from if they seem to be a collector like me. Ask, do you still have oil from the last time you changed the oil in this tractor? And if they do, ask them if you can see it and run a flashlight over it and see if you can see a little sparkly rainbow in it. If you can, that means there's metal shavings in the motor and something is not happy with something else. If you suspect, if you're hearing noises out of it and, want to look into that further. But like I said, there are ticks, and sometimes they knock. Sometimes the PTOs tend to knock. I've had that on this tractor. My 140 used to do that until I took the PTO off of it, and then it stopped. This one didn't do it until I put the PTO on it. I don't know why. It still works. Come down here and check your little tube that would be right here. Well, I don't have one on this tractor, but check your tube. Check it and see if it has fluid in it, and make sure the fluid looks good and clean, and see what the level of fluid is. And also, inspect this hose in here and make sure the hose looks good and it's not rotted off. Sometimes these hoses back here tend to rot off. The one that was on this tractor did, and I ended up replacing it with a piece of fuel line. You can replace them. I think they do sell brand new ones. I think it's just a piece of clear line. I think that's really all it is a piece of clear line that you throw back here. They do sell new ones, like I said, or you can just do what I did, replace it with a fuel line and measure out the exact amount of fluid you need, or do the right thing and just say, well, here's how much fluid I'm going to put in it. This sounds about right. I put about a gallon of fluid in this rear end. I may have put a little more than a gallon in it. I'm not quite sure exactly how much I put in it. So yeah. I think that is just about it for this video. I hope you guys learned something. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, if you get a 300 series and it has a gas gauge in the fuel tank, in the cap, make sure you look at that. Sometimes the glass on those fuel gauges breaks or just falls out. And there's a hole in the center right there, as you can see, for this little arm to come out and read your gauge off and tell you how much fuel is in there. And if that comes out, or if that glass breaks, dirt will get in there and it'll end up going through your fuel system and plugging things up. So that is something I would watch out for, and make sure it's not happening. So yeah, I think I pretty much covered everything I can think of in this video. I want to thank all you guys for watching. If this is your first time checking out my channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Liking the video and also commenting on the video, believe it or not, actually helps me out too. It tells YouTube that people like my videos, and it's not just a whole bunch of robots just watching the videos to watch them and then doing whatever. So yeah, I don't think they look at views or subscribers all that often. I think they just look at the reactions the video gets. So yeah, I want to thank all you for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see all of you in the next video. I think that is going to be it. Take care. Bye. Looking forward to the next video. know why it didn't want to idle. I do agree. It does run really good.